Okay, all my Sundance members and people on YouTube, what we're looking at here is page 4 of the grading map for parcel 12. It's the triangle. There's approximately over 60 houses, 63 or 65. But what I'm going to be zooming in on and concentrating on is this part, because this part has my lot in it. Okay? This map has a ton of information. It's all the elevations. Like right here, this is just off the green. This is a catch basin, a retention basin. It's just off the green. You'll see it in videos I make when it's storming. That becomes a lake. It's right off. It's in the bailout area for the 6th green. But what we're going to be talking about, and I got a much better map, but we're going to be talking, this is track day. This is my lot 316. I'll get out of this now and get to a better picture that's more zoomed in. Right here. This is a much better picture, and I'm going to tell you, try to explain to you what happened here years ago. I'm going to zoom in on my lot 315, 316, 317, 318, 319, and 320. This is finished floor elevation. Finished floor elevation. Okay? That's the pad elevation. These boxes right here, I'll get to, but right now this is track day. All the elevations for the lot lines and the elevations for the finished floor elevation. The finished floor elevation. First of all, I'm going to zoom in on 316, and I'll tell you what took place here with the grading 22, 23 years ago, and why my house is out of compliance. Right here you see 316, it's 727, and the pad is 6.6. They're 8 inches away from each other, but it doesn't show as 8 inches here. But 315 is 727. 316 is 727. 317 is 727. 318 is 727. 319 is 727, and there's 320, 727. All 6 lots, 3 on each side of tract A, are supposed to be the same in elevation. Okay? The lots are out of compliance here. These 2 boxes, the light box, the box and the light printing, and it isn't bold printing, is the design elevation for this property line. This is where it meets the golf course. The design elevation for that property line at that spot where 315 and 316 meet is right there. Okay? The original design elevation was 2.9, and when they got done, the as-built ended up being 5.9. Through my calculations, and I'll show you later how I came up to it, but at this point, with 315 and 316 and the golf course come together, they built it intentionally 37.5 inches higher than what it was spec'd out to by the engineer. Okay? Now, at the other side, they really added a lot. As they were getting closer to tract A, see, 5.9 was the same for both elevations. Okay, it was 5.9 for the 37.5. All right, and they went to 5.9 from an even lower number. They dropped it, the engineer dropped that 1.3 and they left it at 5.9. What that does is give us a height of 53.75 inches higher than what it's supposed to be. It's 53.75 inches high. Over here, I want to show you this. Right here, the target elevation for the threshold was 1.3. They had 5.9. So 1.3 is 4.6. They added about 57 inches. 57.5 inches. This threshold is too high. Okay? They made it really high on both sides, and this is supposed to read 0.98, not 98.9. That's supposed to be 0.98. So they added five units. 5 units. Here they added 5.6. So this is probably about 55 inches high here. That's why we have a threshold. That's why water is staying inside of tract A and it's not running out. That threshold was supposed to be like this 4.50 and 4.90, 175 feet. That tract only drops 0.4. 0.4, okay, we'll do the calculations later. But I want to let you know before we change pages, I want you to look at, well, I screwed up. No foul, blood, no foul. So we'll get out of that. 316 permit elevation. Remember? 7.27. This is a close-up of the elevation for the finished floor on the permit. I did just closed up on that corner, and they changed it. Floor elevation is in disagreement with the master plan by 2.5 inches. They took 0.2 off here. They took 0.2 off my house. All right, we'll go to another one. I'll show it to you in a different one. Finished floor elevation. Okay, right here, again, they lowered the pad and they lowered the elevation here by 0.2. 0.2 by that scale works out to 2.5 inches. And I want to show you this thing. This is the permit. This is the permit. This is the signed permit for my lot, for my house. It was dated 3/13. Well, no, that wasn't the date of the permit. The date of the permit was 1/20/04. So the 20th of January 2004 is when this permit was processed. And it says not sold, not sold. I bought the house from Meritage, but we've got Hancock logos on everything. Hancock logos, but I bought it from Meritage. Okay? Another thing, another not sold, okay? It shows all the bump outs, but I want to show you There it is. They took 0.2 off the elevation. I don't know how they did it, but it's different from the master grading plan. They went outside of the master grading plan. Now, this is the permit number. And they violated the master plan. The master plan said this was supposed to be 7.2. Okay? 7.27, and it isn't. All right? Now, just to show you, I'm showing off here what I know. But total living space, 1181. Model, 411. First floor living, 1131 it might have been. 1181. First floor. Garage, 500 feet. I got the big garage. The porch, 39 square feet. The patio, 350 square feet. Total, 2,070 square feet. Lot area, 5,673 square feet. And the house, footprint of the house covers 36% of the lot. Okay, I'm showing off. But that's the permit, and it's out of spec. This guy was supposed to look at the master plan and make sure that this spec was okay, and it isn't. They dropped it on purpose. And they dropped it on purpose because the subcontractors who lay pads, they're subcontractors. They don't work for anybody else but themselves. They're only going to lay what's on that permit. That's why I have a forensic. That's my proof that they built it wrong. Now, I just showed you. I don't want to do that. All right. I want to show you this note. This note is on the cover sheet. This note is on the cover sheet of the master grading plan. Note 10. No minimum finish floor elevation shall be altered. Written in stone, black and white. No minimum finish floor elevation should be altered. Now, why do you think that they would put something like that in this note? Because the finished floor elevations have been calculated to give the most ideal pitch to get sewage to the street, to the sewer pipe. No minimum floor elevation should be altered. That's written in stone. Now, they fell through the cracks in my house. It fell through the cracks. I'm going to show you the calculations now. I have a calculation sheet that shows, okay, what I'm talking about. This is lot 316, the lot I just showed you, the lot we're talking about. The original finished floor was 7.27, the pad was 6.6, and so the difference between the pad and the finished floor per their scale, this isn't inches, this is per their scale, gives us a 0.61 difference between the pad. Now, to get an inch, these are 8 inches apart. This pad, this are 8 inches apart. You take 61, which is the difference between the pad and the finished floor. To get to the inches, we know it's 8 inches, so we divide 8 into 0.61, and that gives us a value of 0.08. That's our inch. Every time we want to find out how many inches they changed something, we take the difference they did, and then we divide 0.08 into it. And I'll go back to that other one first. Now, the old one was 2.7. The new pad was 7.07. So they took 0.2 away from the old pad. They tampered with the elevation, which is tampering with the sewer pipes. They're tampering with the head pressure and flow rate of the sewer pipes, because when they dropped this, they didn't drop the sewer pipe that goes down the main street. So if you take this 0.2 divided by 0.08, it comes out to 2.5. When I had my water levels, and I still have them, when I owned lot 315, I went from lot 315's patio to lot 316's patio, and per my water levels, it was near 3 inches. Right here. So I proofed my math. I proofed my math. All right, I had the permit that said it was 2.5 inches. I went from, but you got to take into account that when I did that measurement, that was after 10 years of many, many, many rainstorms and many, many soakings. Many, many soakings of water. You don't know how much water my lot sponged up during that time because it couldn't drain onto the golf course. Now, at where I was talking about where 315 and 316's property line is, it was 2.9 originally. They changed it as built to 5.9. That gave them a solid 3. 3 divided 0.08, the inch value, they made the property line between 315 and 316 of my lot 37 inches, 37 and an inch, half inch higher than what the engineer ordered. Now, at the other property line 45 feet away at 316 and 317, the original was 1.6. They left it at 5.9. It was supposed to drop. So that gave them a 4.3 difference. That means they are high. At the 316, 317, they built it 53 inches high. 53.75 inches high after lowering my finished floor elevation. They trapped water in my house. All right? Here's the Buckeye notes. Again. No minimum. Finished floor can be altered. Now, I'm going to see if I can go and show you. If I can find my pictures, I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. There's my lighthouse. Again, long, long time ago. This is me putting in from the gutters another line going out to the... I did that 4 times on 2 houses. I put in a flexible 3-inch tubing from the gutter spout to the golf course. This right here is my sifter. I have 2 different screens. There's the lighthouse. It's been there a long time. While I was putting this in, this was probably 20 or 21 when I was doing this 2 years ago. But I owned this lot at the time. I owned this lot over here at the time. So I'm trying to find where there's flooding. I'm going to show you what flooding looks like. Here we go. I'm going to show you what effect of raising those property lines did. We'll start. We'll start here. Okay, you see that? This was the spring of 2004. There's the wet spot. You see where everything was uphill? They scooped out and bowled out around here, this property line. Everything was uphill. That's where I say when the surveyor came with 35 years experience and he stood right here, and this is even before they landscaped. Now when creative environments came in, they even messed it up more. Okay, let's see. Here's what I want to do. Okay, another thing. You're bitching at me for changing my lot. And here's what I bought. Here's what I bought right here. I bought that view. Okay? That is what my view was when I bought the lot. And you're going to see in later pictures, I don't have that view anymore. Here you see where it's bowled out. You see where they've sculpted this little bowl right here? That's the wet spot right there. That's between 316 and 317. This was in the spring of 2004. They hadn't even landscaped it yet. There it is. That is retention. It's illegal retention. Everybody might say, well, gee, that's just a little puddle. No, it isn't. That's a landlocked, undisclosed, undocumented, illegal retention basin. And you see all this land right here? It's all uphill. When I told the surveyor, he came here, and these pictures I think were taken before I ever did any work. Before I ever dug anything. These pictures were taken about 2013, 2014. All right? This is what I dealt with for the first 8 or 9 years I was here. This cement right here is rotted. I might have a better picture of it later, and I'll show you that rotted cement. But this is what happened. There's the wet spot. They lowered this house 2.5 inches on paper. And I think they lowered this one 1.5 inches on paper. And tract A that's all filled in is right here. It's filled in. There's no channel. There's no standpipe. There's nothing to carry the water out of the parcel. And we haven't even landscaped. And this wet spot, I want to show you, this is 75 feet of eave. And it pours water between these two houses. And these two houses are lower than what they're supposed to be finished floor elevation. And then creative environments came in and they built a berm right across my lot. Right across 3 of my lots. Okay, here it is again. This had to be 2012, 2011, one of our big storms. But like I said, when the surveyor came up and he stood right there where the middle of that puddle is, and he took one look and he says, they made you it. Here it is again. And they haven't even started landscaping. When they started landscaping, they added more and more dirt to my lot. That lot, so that has been part of my lot. I've been slave. I've been a water slave, a water mule, a water bitch, whatever you name it. I've been paying tribute, and I've been protecting the golf course. All right? The golf course has been protected by this retention basin for years. It took me 10 years to figure this out. It was 10 years before I finally got the finished floor elevation for my house. I had the grading plans about 1.5 years or 2 years earlier, but I never could get my hands on the permit. And when I got my hands on the permit, it proved that, and here it's wet, damp, but I always talk about, this is what creative environments did. When they planted plants, they made, this is the Detroit Lions defensive line. This is the Green Bay Packer defensive line. This is the Minnesota Viking defensive line. They put this berm, this arc of a berm up here. After they sculpted, you saw without the rocks where it was sculpted here. After they did that, Creative Environments came in and put all these berms in so that the water can't get off the lot. It can't get off the property. Here's Tract A all filled in. All filled in. There it is. It's not a drain anymore. And these had just been planted. So you see, remember back here, you got those big mounds? That's because that's about 8 or 9 years old from these pictures. All right? They had just planted that. But as a plant grows and its root ball grows, it just causes this. But like I said, what I leave off with? The Minnesota Vikings, and then you got the Chicago Bears defensive line. It defends the tee box. It defends the tee box from runoff. Okay? There it is. There it is. And one thing I want to say about my view, I don't have this view anymore. And this tree is gone. And this bush right here, when they graded my lot, they put that bush about 3 or 4 inches above my patio. It's got to be 3, 4, 6 inches above my patio. So the water can't get out of the lot. And then my neighbor's lot, as it grew, this is kind of young because we don't have that big tree here that we have now. But this is illegal retention. This is being a slave for the HOA and the golf course. And I can't get civil engineering at Buckeye to do anything. When I walk into City Hall down on Monroe and I go to the second floor, I've been there twice with the permit and the original plans, grading plans, and I requested to talk to a civil engineer on the second floor. Nobody will talk to me. I got skunked twice. I drove from Watson Road down to Monroe Street, went up to the second floor, burned the gas, the time, the energy, only to have them tell me nobody wants to talk to you. In other words, nobody's here, nobody wants to talk to you about this. Now, we don't have a big tree. Everybody's screaming and hollering about my lighthouse, that I put something there without permission. This is the view I bought. I don't have that view anymore. I got a big, ugly, thorny Palo Verde. Okay? There it is. Everything's filled in. This was about 2004. There we get a wet spot. But this patio right here is 2.5 inches low. And this one's an 1.5 inches low. And they had a berm coming across here. So everything, no matter if it rained for a week, the water wasn't going to get off the lot. It was going to be absorbed and went under my house. And I used to get a 4-foot wide, before I put up the gutters, a 4-foot wide moat in front of my patio and at the side of my house. There it is. There it is. That's just a light rainstorm. If we have a deluge for 2 or 3 days and it rains hard for 2 or 3 days, all that water goes under my patio. And getting back to where I read 3 inches different and it was spec'd out at 2.5 inches different, I think the weight of the house dropped the house elevation at least 1/2 inch. If you get a week of rain and all that water goes under your house, and I hope I have a picture here of the rotted cement. Here it is again. This house is 1 inch higher. I had my neighbor allowed me to measure the difference between his patio, his back patio, and my back patio. There was 1 inch difference. Now my patio and his patio are only 1 inch apart, and this one's 2.5 inches low. And all the migration of water would always migrate toward my house. All right. Any engineers out there? This was redneck, cowboy, undisclosed, homegrown, indigenous, fraternal back scratching. Okay? Now, here's the last picture. Remember that nice view I had of the lake? Remember that beautiful view I had of the lake? I don't have it anymore. Because as soon as I bought the house, the first thing they did is go down and plant that thorny Palo Verde right in front of my house. All right? This is my view now. This is the bunker I built, and I'm very proud of it. It's all built. Those bags right there, I sewed them myself. There's a video on it. And that sifter, they're filled with pebbles. They're not filled with sand. They're not filled with rock. They're filled with pebbles. And there must be, I probably made near 100 of them. I sewed them, and they make up this bunker. I'm very proud of it. I used to be in the Marines, but I was in the Air Wing, and I never got into combat, and I never had to build a bunker. I never was in combat. I wasn't an infantry Marine. God bless all you Marines. If you were in the infantry in Vietnam and you're still here, God bless you. God bless you. I don't measure up. The Marine Corps for me was a country club. I worked hard. I put in a lot of hours, and there was a lot of discipline, but I was never in a combat zone. I've never had a bullet go over my head. All right? So I made this because I was in the Marines and the military, I know what interdiction harassment fire is. I know what walking point is. And before I built this, I used to get about once a week, some golfer would hit his ball up in this yard, and if it was on my patio, between my houses, whatever, that golfer came right over this corner and walked in my yard like he owned it. The golfers out here at Sundance, when they buy their green fees, they automatically assume we have a patio pass. The golf course is so tight and so narrow, and they put the out of bounds right on those people's property line so that I can hit it all the way up to their property line. And if I should happen to hit it over their property line, oh well. Or if I break their window, oh well, it was an accident. I didn't mean it. Since I put that berm there, and I'm very proud of it, I am super proud of it. This is why I'm being lawsuited. This is the reason for the lawsuit. The ladies on the ladies' tee box have had this corner all to themselves for about 12 or 13, 14 years. They had that corner, and they could look into my patio. They could stand there on the tee box and zoom in on my patio. The first day, or the first time that I was in these chairs and the ladies group came up in the morning, every woman in the group pulled out her cell phone and started taking pictures of me. They even asked me, "What are you doing up there? Why are you up there? Why are you taking pictures?" One day I had the video camera, and she goes, "Why are you got your video camera out?" I said, "Because I'm recording malice. I'm recording people hitting balls in my yard all day long and walking in my yard. Another slave. I've been a slave for water, and I've been a slave for golf balls. And I've been paying tribute to my neighbors who had tract A all to themselves as a private yard. Nobody walking on it." Okay? And my last thing I want to go with, tell you about is they started a fine on me a year and a half ago on October 1st of $100 a day. It's been going up $100 a day for a year and a half, and they never told me. They never told me it was coming. I was never warned that I had a fine coming at me. I was totally shocked. And what happened is they quit sending me invoices. The first two invoices of for April, May, and June, July, and August. They never sent them to me. But I'll read it to you. Under Arizona law, an HOA may not issue a fine until it first offers you a hearing before the board of directors. If the HOA fails to provide you an opportunity for a hearing, the fine is imposed. The fine is illegal and not enforceable. Well, it might be illegal and not enforceable, but my last invoice, it was up to $52,000. $52,000 fine, and then on top of that, I'm being sued by the HOA. Oh, and also I was kicked out of the HOA 7 years by the manager because I went to a meeting. And you just found the revelation that I just put on this video, all that information about flooding and slavery and all that stuff. That's why I was kicked out of the HOA. They don't want me anywhere inside of their HOA. They don't want me warning people or telling people that they're paying tribute over here in Tract A. Thank you for listening. I'm going to send this to Carolyn too. All right? So to Carolyn, when you go into the meeting tomorrow with your architectural committee or your board member, your Friday morning meeting, please share this video with them. All right? This is why I'm being sued. I whistle blew on Tract A. Tract A isn't filled in anymore. It's a hybrid. It's not filled in. It gives some relief, but it's a retention basin. And I'm going to make another video here in a couple minutes to show you what a retention basin is. All right? Thank you for listening.